नमस्कार दर्शक मित्रों। थिंकलाइन के आज के नए संस्करण में आपका फिर से स्वागत है। हमारे जाने पहचाने डॉक्टर आदित्यन जी हमारे साथ है। जैसे हमने आपको प्रॉमिस किया था पिछले हफ्ते कि द सेकंड पार्ट ऑफ इट, जियोपॉलिटिक्स इन एंड अराउंड इंडिया, पार्ट 2, वी विल डिस्कस। व्हेन वी डिस्कस टुडे विल टेक अप ये जो सांप्रत स्थितियां पैदा हो रही है, सांप्रत घटनाएं जो बन रही है पिछले 7-8 दिनों में, 10 दिनों में, उसे भी हम कवर करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। मैं एक बैकग्राउंडर दे दूं तो अजीत डोवल जी आजकल रशिया में, हमारे संरक्षण प्रधान राजनाथ सिंह जी के 2-3 बयान लोगों के कान खड़े कर दिला है। उन्होंने कहा कि भारतीय फोर्सेस को कभी भी अनएक्सपेक्टेड थिंग्स के लिए तैयार रहना चाहिए, वॉर के लिए, और ऐसे समय में ये मैसेजिंग बहुत बड़ी बात है। उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि पीओके के साथ में पाकिस्तान ने अच्छा नहीं किया, ये भी बात कही। ही ऑल्सो सेड दैट on top of that we have our opposition leader in USA talking of so many things which are just not true, far from reality. I don't know in what world he lives in. He talks कि गॉड एक है, देवी देवता अलग है, देवी देवता कौन है, that is his thought. More than that, he keeps on praising China, says there is no unemployment. Dr. Adityanjee will tell you exactly how many percent of unemployment is there. We have on the eastern side our neighbor and the caretaker advisor talking big. He wants to speak in UNSG and then wants to have a word with Narendra Modi about Teesta water settlement. On the other side, Indian power corporations, companies have slowed down supplying power. Textile units are moving out of Bangladesh. Things are happening. So many things are happening. And if that was not enough, कल रात को भारतीय समय पे टीटीपी ने ऑफिशियली डिक्लेयर कर दिया वी विल हैव अ फुल स्केल वॉर। शूरा काउंसिल ने इस तरह की बातें की। पहले उसका डिनायल भी आया उन्हीं की तरह से, मगर तब तक वो शूरा काउंसिल में चर्चा नहीं हुआ था, उसकी वजह से ये हुआ था। नाउ टुडे आई एम गेटिंग द न्यूज there is a heavy fighting that has broken out between the Taliban forces and Pakistani army. And Taliban has vowed to take a revenge on lurid line because they have lost some people there. That is what is happening. Sir, in and around India, geopolitics part 2, from what we discussed last week, within 8 days, things have changed a lot. बहुत कुछ हो गया है सर। शुरू कीजिए, please start.
So there's never a vacuum in geopolitics. That is mantra number 1. They can never be vacuum. Things will happen. So we'll start from the eastern border first,
Yes.
and then go on to the western border. Yes, the National Security Advisor has gone to Moscow to discuss some coordination about the BRICS meeting and all. As you know, there's a country that wants to bring in BRICS, want to bring in Pakistan in BRICS, and that country is China. And it is not in India's interest that Pakistan joins the BRICS. So that is one angle of it. Second angle of it is that there is going to be a Quad meeting fairly soon, even before the BRICS meeting, I believe, on September 21st in Delaware in US. And this would be the last in-person head of state, head of government of the 4 Quad leaders, 2 of which are going to be retired. One of them being Joe Biden and second be Fumio Kishida of Japan. So that is significant, and whether we acknowledge it or not, whether we like it or not, there is going to be some coordination between these international groupings and multilaterals and trilaterals and quadrilaterals with our friends. So Ajit Doval is not just going to discuss BRICS, he will also discuss other issues. And you probably did not realize that Russian Foreign Ministry has demanded that till the resignation letter of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina Wajid is made public, Muhammad Yunus cannot be allowed to represent Bangladesh in United Nations Assembly.
Yes.
And despite Muhammad Yunus's demands that Mr. Modi meet him on the sidelines of the UNGA, it appears that Mr. Modi has changed his program. He will not be attending UNGA. It would be Dr. Jaishankar who will represent India in UNGA, because you don't want to dignify somebody like that and appear on the same platform as Muhammad Yunus. These are very intricate moves that one has to study and understand. Whatever you have said is true. There is no incentive for Indian companies at this point in time to invest and stay invested in our eastern neighbor, Bangladesh. There are demands galore from the Islamist regime there. Now they want to change the national anthem of Bangladesh, saying that it was imposed upon them in 1971. It is basically Rabindranath Tagore written song, Amar Sonar Bangla. Muhammad Yunus has demanded that Sheikh Hasina must not make any statement from India. India should keep her quiet till she is extradited, which is a very strange demand. You want to demand extradition of your country's duly elected prime minister from India, which has a tradition of being the refuge for all the persecuted historically, and you want to quieten her till India agrees to demand it back to you so that you can do a kangaroo court and sham trials. If I were in the loop, which I'm not, if I were part of the government of India, which I'm not, I would tell our friends in Russia, in Moscow, that you need to read the tea leaves and you smell the coffee and you remove your investment, financial, technical, and all kind of investment in Bangladesh into nuclear power plants. With an Islamic regime having taken hold under influence of international agencies, it would be very short-sighted for Russia as well as for Putin to continue to have those atomic power plants in Bangladesh. It is a serious issue because you know what will happen. There will be diversion of reprocessed fuel. And Bangladeshi Islamic regime will get all the help from two countries, I don't need to tell you, and try to cross the Lakshman Rekha, and maybe in 5-10 years' time, declare itself to be a nuclear weapon state.
Yes.
So time to act is now, Mr. Putin. Smell coffee. There was a different era for 15 years when there was a stable secular government in Bangladesh. So they need to remove all the technical personnel, all the equipment, and those atomic power plants in Bangladesh should not be commissioned. That is number one. That's a very important thing. And India's civil society, India's policy community needs to pay attention to this. As far as private entrepreneurs are concerned, what is the incentive for the private power companies, Indian power companies in Bangladesh, when dues more than $1 billion have not been paid? And there's no likelihood that they will ever be paid. So why would you continue to feed them with free electricity and cause, losses to your investors' bottom line? Similarly, the investment in the, cloth manufacturing units, which is mainly Indian businessmen, there is no incentive at this point in time, especially when elements in Bangladesh are talking about greater Bangladesh and are raising slogans, and I'll quote unquote, we are Babar, we'll take the Seven Sisters from India. We'll take the Seven Sisters. And Seven Sisters is entire northeast of it. So that is on the eastern border. And
Sir, before you come to the western border, let me tell the viewers, sir. ये सर ने जो बताया ना अभी, बहुत क्लियरली बताया. हम लोग सोशल मीडिया पे गाने सुनते रहते हैं कि डोवल जी रशिया गए, अब तो पीस करवा देंगे रशिया यूक्रेन की, उनके लिए गए हैं, मोदी जी का मैसेज लेके गए हैं. ये बड़ी बात नहीं है दर्शक मित्रों. अगर वो होगा तो भी, मगर भारत as a good friend has gone and told Russians what needs to be done. That's all it is. So don't be under that foolish pretext that which you are hearing so much कि भारत पीस मेकर बन रहा है, पीस मेकर बन रहा है, इसीलिए डोवाल जी को रशिया भेजा. भूल जाइए. ये होगा थोड़ा बहुत, एक आध मैसेज होगा. शांति का प्रयत्न हर एक करता है और वो भारत करेगा, मगर it is not that purpose that Bharat is, Doval ji is again going to Russia. समझ लीजिए दोस्तों, काफी लोगों को, आप लोगों को एक ही गाना गाने की आदत हो गई है, क्योंकि आप जो सुनते हैं वो गाते हैं. बात कुछ और होती है. सर प्लीज गो.
I also would like to clarify to the viewers that I have no inside information. I am just doing an analysis and I am saying what Bharat should do, what Bharat should convey in very simple and straightforward language. So again, I don't want the viewers to misconstrue that I have some inside information. As a policy analyst and strategic thinker, I think this is a very important issue that needs to be discussed and has not been discussed. Nobody has talked about it.
Now, sir, the Western Front, which is all the more burning today.
In Indian subcontinent, the unfinished business of partition done by imperialist forces, done very haphazardly with their interest in mind, is not working out. We have seen that in 1971 and we are seeing it now. What the defense minister has said is truth, and I won't say just POK, I'll say POK and POL, because not all about Kashmir. That's a very tiny.
Pakistan too.
Pakistan occupied Ladakh, which also has Gilgit and Baltistan. They are constitutionally de jure parts of Bharat. Our parliament has passed resolutions that come what may, we are obligated to take those parts of Bharat that are under adverse possession because of scheming done by British at the time of, major partition, Major Brown unilaterally declaring Gilgit and Baltistan as independent, or by British, who controlled both the sides, the armies of both the sides at the time of partition when the so-called tribal invasion happened. So you need to understand all that power project has to be undone. And defense ministers saying the obvious that anything can happen anytime. I just said that there cannot be any vacuum in geopolitics. The international situation is very fluid. You don't know what will happen next. So you have to be always vigilant. Price of freedom is eternal vigilance. So you have to be vigilant. The armed forces have to be vigilant and be prepared for any surprise. Historically, we know that Afghanistan does not recognized the Durand Line, and the Imperial Britain and Kingdom of Royalty in Afghanistan, I think they had done a enforced treaty that had given the Durand Line for a period of, I think, 100 years, and that period probably finished somewhere in 1980s or 1990s. So from whatever government has come in Afghanistan, they have told Pakistan that we do not recognize Durand Line. Your Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is part of our country. And despite bonhoming of the Islamic jihadist elements, a time is coming that TTP, which is Pakistan-based Taliban, they are also against the government of Pakistan. And so there have been skirmishes on Durand Line both ways. And that will continue to escalate because as Taliban government is getting entrenched, they have no hold bars for government of Pakistan. And the so-called good Taliban, because Pakistan had policy of good versus bad Taliban, the good Taliban that are based in Pakistan have also turned against him, against the country. The concept of strategic debt being given to Pakistan by eventually incorporating the country of Afghanistan into Pakistan, the project of General Zia-ul-Haq
Yes.
has not materialized. So we will continue to see disruption on Afghanistan-Pakistan border. Pakistan is going through tough time. Not only there is conflict there, there's also ongoing conflict in Balochistan. That indigenous uprising and rebellion continues. There are waxing and waning. There are news here and there. So the transitional nation of Pakistan is having tough time surviving. That is what is happening there.
Sir, let me add you something. It was on the 6th September that Asim Munir of Pakistan first time accepted of Kargil war and the defeat of Pakistani army. Was that statement, I'm coming to something very important, just to, soft pedal India so that, on this sector, they don't have to look much and Indian forces will quietly sit. And at that same time, उसी वक्त शायद राजनाथ सिंह ने एक आध दिन के अंदर बोल दिया, बी प्रिपेयर फॉर अनएक्सपेक्टेड। हो क्या रहा है सर? दिख क्या रहा है? सीधी भाषा, डिप्लोमेटिक नहीं सर, सीधी भाषा।
देखिए, बात ये है कि यह पहली बार नहीं है कि पाकिस्तान ने ये स्वीकार किया हो कि कारगिल उनका किया कराया था। ये जनरल मुशर्रफ ने भी मान लिया था। जब जनरल मुशर्रफ को पाकिस्तान से निष्कासित किया गया था और वो दुबई वगैरह में थे, उन्होंने मान लिया था। जर्नलिस्ट को, संवाददाताओं को साक्षात्कार देने में उन्होंने कहा था कि ये हमारा था, किया कराया था, हमारे कर्म थे, लेकिन हम जीत नहीं पाए। तो ये पहली बार नहीं है, लेकिन हाँ, उनका प्रयास यही है कि वो भारत को जरा, भारत का तुष्टीकरण करें अपने वक्तव्य से। तो वो बात चल रही है, किंतु ऐसी बातों में एक वक्तव्य से कुछ नहीं होता। पाकिस्तान की कथनी और करनी में तो बहुत अंतर है। और आप जो भी बात करें, पाकिस्तान का जो अस्तित्व है वो भारत विरोध है, वो हिंदू विरोध है, भारत विरोध है, वो दो राष्ट्र सिद्धांत के ऊपर निर्धारित है। तो जिस राज्य का जन्म एक नकारात्मक सोच पे हुआ हो, उसे बहुत परेशानी होगी, और हो रही है। तो वो भारत को जरा संतुष्ट करने के लिए इस तरफ उस तरफ वक्तव्य देते रहते हैं। और ये थोड़ा जिसको कहते हैं ना वर्च्यू सिग्नलिंग, कि ये पाकिस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री ने नहीं कहा, क्योंकि सबको पता है कि प्रधानमंत्री के पास तो वो सत्ता में होते हैं लेकिन उनके पास शक्ति नहीं होती। पाकिस्तान में जो जो शक्तिशाली संस्थान है वो है वहां की सेना। तो उन्हें सेना अध्यक्ष को लाना पड़ा यह स्वीकार करने के लिए, लेकिन ये पहले ही स्वीकार किया जा चुका है। एक बार नहीं, एक से ज्यादा बार स्वीकार किया जा चुका है। तो उन्हें कुछ ना कुछ तो करना है ना, अपने को सशक्त करने के लिए, अपने को, जैसे कहते हैं ना, बैटल फॉर सर्वाइवल। तो वो चल रहा है पाकिस्तान के लिए। तो वो ये चाहते हैं कि भारत इस समय कोई ऐसी स्थिति ना खड़ा कर दे जिससे उनकी सारी व्यवस्था, सारी सैन्य व्यवस्था, सारी सुरक्षा चरमरा जाए। तो ये इस बात के प्रयास हो रहे हैं। और भारत ने भी कुछ ऐसे वक्तव्य दिए हैं कि हाँ, पाकिस्तान से हमें शांति रखनी है। ठीक है, वक्तव्य देने में क्या होता है, लेकिन when push come to shove, you have to guard your national interests
So
and
don't
be
you think,
prepared.
but then this is a very good opportunity for India? Or if I put the question other way around, how many years will Pakistan take to break? Now,
I think one does not have a crystal ball, but eventually Pakistan will break. Eventually it will break from within,
yes.
and government of India may have a facilitative role but will not have a major role, because it is inbuilt on inherent contradictions, and the glue of Islam is not going to hold it together. So obvious fault lines are there. Except for the province of Punjab, nobody else is happy. There is population explosion of humans and donkeys, and the only creditable export is that of donkeys. You might have seen that Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has started disinvestment and de-risking from Pakistan.
Yes.
They are investing in Bharat. The Crown Prince MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, has also passed an order and reduced the Hajj quota for Pakistan, and told Pakistani government that you don't send your beggars to our country in the name of Hajj pilgrims, because they are the ones who commit all kinds of crimes and start begging. So that is the image of Pakistan, that of an international beggar. It's a rentier state. They collect rent, they will sleep with anyone who is willing to pay some money. And the traditional sources from the Islamic world, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and UAE, are becoming lukewarm. China is not interested in pouring more money into Pakistan because their hands have been burnt, and China is going through economic turmoil itself, so they don't have. So ultimately, Pakistan is going back to whom? Uncle, whatever uncle is there, and relying on the patronage of the traditional uncle for
The fan.
survival.
Let's put it that way.
So that is what is going on. I think it would not be wise for me to say that 5 years or 10 years, Pakistan will break. The process is there. It is already started. When will that happen?
We don't
I
know.
would say use the strategy of Chanakya. Okay. So what he was doing, he was putting charge into the roots of the kush that hurt his foot. That if he puts charge there, the ants will come and eat the roots. Just understand that. You don't have to dig or destroy.
दर्शक मित्रों, डॉक्टर साहब है ना, वो डिप्लोमेटिक लैंग्वेज का ही प्रयोग करते हैं। मूल के अंदर छाछ डालो, कीड़े मकोड़े आएंगे छाछ पीने के लिए, साथ में रूट भी खा जाएंगे। समझने की बात है। सर, नाउ वी कम टू द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, upcoming to one already on. Our leader of opposition is in USA talking things. As I told you, you will comment on that. And later this month, Indian Prime Minister will address Indian diaspora in USA. First thing is this trip okay? Should Narendra Modi make this trip? If he makes it, what should he say? Or what the purpose of this trip is when he's not going to address the UNSC? Then he's not going to meet any of the leaders because they are USA is in the midst of an election. In such a scenario, it's something like tit for tat. आपने इंटरफेरेंस किया, हम भी कुछ कर सकते हैं, क्या ये है? या फिर कुछ ऐसा मैसेज है जो भारतीय डायस्पोरा के लिए, पूरे विश्व के लिए वहां जाके देना, उनके घर में जाके देना जरूरी।
So I would like to clarify a few things.
Yes.
The Prime Minister is going there on September 21st for an in-person meeting of Quad leaders. That would be the last in-person meeting of Quad leaders under Joe Biden. And initially it was supposed to be in Washington, D.C., but for convenience of Biden, it has been done in Delaware, which is the home state of Biden. Just remember that this meeting was supposed to happen on the sidelines of G20 meeting last year. It did not happen for whatever reason, whether there was a lukewarming response from the United States or not, but that is what happened. So from that perspective, it is important for Prime Minister of India to go there. On 22nd of September, he is going to address Indian diaspora, I think in New York or New Jersey. The slot given to India for speaking in UNGA, I think is much later. I believe it is September 26th or September 28th, something like that. And you don't expect Prime Minister of India to hang on there for such a long time.
Yes.
If you know the Prime Minister, he is very efficient. Efficient, I would say. I won't say Prime Minister, I'll say worker. He calls himself Pradhan Sevak. There's no incentive for him to hang around in United States or New York for such a long period of time. Time is very important. I don't know what he is doing else. What else is he doing? And you said that, US is under domestic election scenario. My advice to Prime Minister would be, and it's a very well thought out, very well considered advice. It's up to the Prime Minister and his establishment to come or not. He should use that opportunity and meet both Kamala Devi Harris and Donald John Trump. You are equal-handed. You're not interfering. You are giving equal opportunity to both of them. That would be to safeguard bilateral interests of Bharat. That's how things are done. You never say we'll do tit for tat. You never say, since you are interfering since Garcetti is meeting with farmers leader, Asasuddin Owaisi and this and that, we will do the same. You just act as a statesman. So you are in US, Of course, you are meeting the sitting president, who is a lame duck president now.
Yes.
But you should meet the vice president and presidential candidate of Democrat Party. And also you should have some deliberations. Use this opportunity to meet with Donald John Trump, who is the nominee of the Republican Party. That way you are being very even-handed and you are discussing the state business. So that is one issue. Coming to the clown, there was an observation that in 90s and 2000s, wherever Indian Prime Minister went, couple of months later, afterwards, Pakistani Prime Minister visited the same country. There was a pattern, and it was started by Benazir Bhutto to undo India's diplomacy. So whichever country Indian Prime Minister would visit, Benazir Bhutto and then her successors will visit the same country and do their song and dance drama. We have observed that every time the Prime Minister comes to US, this person tries to, sort of do his own thing, either immediately a few weeks before Prime Minister's visit or afterwards. So he times it very crucially. The attempts that are being made domestically is to use the British president that as leader of opposition, he's a quote-unquote shadow prime minister.
Shadow.
India does not have the concept of shadow prime ministership, but that is what is in his head, whatever he has been smoking. His speeches are generally incoherent. Having said that, the guy is a very shrewd operator. So the China Bhakti और चीन की स्तुति, उसका वर्णन हमेशा होता रहता है. एंड मैंने वो देखा x.com पे उनका वक्तव्य कि पश्चिम देशों में बेरोजगारी है, भारत में बेरोजगारी है, लेकिन चीन में बेरोजगारी नहीं है, क्योंकि चीन में सब चीजों का उत्पादन होता है. विश्व की सब चीजों का उत्पादन चीन में हो रहा है. चीन की इकोनॉमी बहुत स्ट्रांग है, वहां पे कोई बेरोजगारी नहीं है. Just for sake of record, in Chinese people, young Chinese people who have a college degree, the rate of unemployment is more than 22%. There's a new trend that is coming in China. It's called flatlining. Flatlining means that you scale down your expectations, your hopes, your ambitions. So most of the Chinese college graduates are flatlining. They are going into rural areas and leading a quote-unquote subsistence existence. The price of property is so high that these people are forced to go back to their parental home. And if I may add, it's a sociological observation. In Chinese marriage market, girls have an upper hand because of the skewed gender ratio. So if a young Chinese male with a college degree, it's not important that you have a job. It's also important that you have a house, a new house or a new apartment. Otherwise, you cannot get married there. So there are a lot of social issues going on in China, which the gentleman who thinks is the shadow prime minister of India does not know. The way I said that it's a very shrewd thing, he may be seemingly incoherent, but there's a dangerous game going on. This person is in United States. The Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, D.K. Shubkumar, has been invited by Kamala Devi Harris for a meeting. Not only with her, but also with Barack Hussein Obama. Around at the same time. there are other personalities that are in United States at this point in time, including Kamal Hassan. So you have to connect the dots and draw the lines what is going on. You know, there's this diplomat Jennifer Lawson,
Jennifer.
who has been meeting on all and sundry. I read a news article that so-called Kisan leaders were seen going into US Embassy at 1:30 a.m. with their faces covered, came back after 1.5 hour meeting, and were followed by intelligence sleuths. And they all went to a farm afterwards in Chhatarpur. And eventually, of course, you have to uncover your faces. So all of them were identified by the IB. So the government knows who were the people who went there. You know what is happening with Haryana elections. So you have all these members of the toolkit, if I may use the word. It's a very much abused word. But yes, there are attempts to change the government in India. And since the party in power lost the majority, still was able to form a government in alliance with NDA. Now attempts are to dislodge this government, just like what was done in Pakistan. That a duly elected government using the parliamentary maneuver of no confidence motion. So there are efforts being built out, and there are efforts being built out because Karnataka is under Congress government. So there's engagement of Karnataka politicians, for whatever they are doing, about, tabling of the Waqf Amendment Act and all that sort of thing. So there are a lot of activities happening. And I would not say that Rahul Gandhi's statements are so innocent that he's talking about religion, this or that. He didn't have to go to Dallas, Texas to make that statement. There are people who are sponsoring his travels, and they have Pakistani origin. The photos that come, you can count, majority of them are Americans of Pakistani origin that are sponsoring and all that sort of thing. I am pretty sure that the government agencies are watching that. And again, you have to do as a sovereign nation what you need to do so that the international agencies do not fish in troubled water. And that is the prime responsibility of Government of India, to make sure that all these nefarious plans are thwarted and we have something counter operations going on.
Yes, certainly there are some counter operations going on. The agencies are aware of that. If we are aware of so many things, if Dr. Saab knows so many things sitting in USA, well, naturally our agencies do know. The work is on, and this nefarious activities. The word used by him is, Dr. Saab, is nefarious. I would not want to use something else, but dosto, understand one thing. Things are moving at a very rapid pace. When you have a Bengaluru connection and a Chennai connection directly into Kamala Harris and through him Barack Hussein Obama, it says so many things. Try and understand.
Also remind the viewers that last time when Joe Biden was in India to attend G20 meeting, at that time, Barack Hussein Obama was giving anti-India statements in interview sitting in United States.
Yes.
So you need to understand that timing also.
So things are happening and they are moving at a rapid pace, and that's why I just tell you people, please do connect the dots from what Narendra Bhai says in USA after Rahul Gandhi comes back. Now, there is one last question for Dr. Saab, and then we'll stop. Sir, there are certain elements in USA, there are certain sections in US who believe that Modi should not visit at this time because in India, opposition might try to pull the rug out under him when he is in USA. Is that the reason?
Well, that is always done when the regime change operations are done. That is a standard operational procedure. When the leader of the country is abroad, you hatch the conspiracy. So people are being hyper vigilant, but Bharat is not a banana republic. That if Prime Minister goes abroad for 2 days or 3 days, and mind you, the Prime Minister does not stay in any country if there's no business to do.
Yes.
He is very productive and efficient person. You know, the guy actually makes the travel in such a way that he sleeps in the plane.
Yes.
And uses the daytime so that he does not have to sometimes even check into a hotel and go from one country to the other. So that is the reason he is not going to hang around in New York for UN General Assembly meeting. But I think from perspective of continuity, again for safeguarding our geopolitical interests, it's important for him to attend the last in-person Quad meeting of head of governments when both Biden and Fumio Kishida are retiring. So there will be continuity maintained, at least two leaders, the Prime Minister of Australia, Albanese, and Prime Minister Modi will remain in power come January 2025. And it is very important that, yes, we have our friends elsewhere, but again, Quad is important from India's geopolitical interests also. India is the ultimate balancer state, you know, in a nascently emerging multipolar world. So yes, we have to be, concerned about BRICS and other groupings, but Quad is also important. Yes, we don't want it to become quote unquote a traditional military alliance because that impinges on our strategic independence and autonomy.
दर्शक मित्रों, आपने सुना मोदी जी के जाने का प्रयोजन। वेल, बहुत सी चीजें हो रही है, बहुत सी बातें हो रही है। अगले 15 दिन में फिर से हम डॉक्टर आदित्य जी के साथ में बैठेंगे। 15 दिन में क्या हो गया, और शायद मोदी जी यूएस जाके जैसे ही आए उन्होंने क्या कहा, उसको भी एनालाइज करना पड़ेगा इस बार। मित्रों, हम फिर से डॉक्टर साहब से 15 दिन के बाद, 10 से 15 दिन के अंदर बातें करेंगे और यहाँ पर पूरा एनालाइज करेंगे हमारे भाई साहब जिनको हम यूथ आइकॉन कहते हैं, उन्होंने जाके क्या किया और उनके काउंटर में क्या हो रहा है। देखिए, मत समझिए भारत का गेम भारत के अंदर हो रहा है। इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं कि मोदी जी जब यूएसए या और कहीं भी जाते हैं उसका प्रयोजन होता है। समझने की कोशिश कीजिए, कनेक्ट करिए डॉट्स को एक के बाद एक। डोवाल जी जब रशिया जाते हैं उसके मायने भी कुछ है। तो मित्रों, आज के लिए सिर्फ इतना ही। हम डॉक्टर आदित्यन जी से विदा लेंगे, मगर उससे पहले मैं आपको फिर से एक बार रिमाइंड करूंगा और प्लेज करूंगा, प्लीज 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 लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइबर्स, वी डू नीड योर हेल्प। और साथ में अगर आप कैसे भी हमें मदद करना चाहे तो डिस्क्रिप्शन में सभी डिटेल्स दिए हुए हैं, यू कैन गो टू देम एंड प्लीज डू दैट। मित्रों, आपको ये बातें कैसी लगती है? हाउ डू यू रेट दैट? प्लीज पुट इट इन द कमेंट्स। देयर आर अ फ्यू कमेंट्स व्हिच आर कमिंग टू मी every day, and I'll make sure that one of these days I'm going to read out those comments by the names. There are our viewers who are pointing out mistakes even in thumbnail, that the map is not right, and I do appreciate, I salute them. We have made the necessary corrections. We'll do that again. And Dr. Adityanjee, before we wind up, what's the lesson? 1 minute. What we need to do now, since come September is come, it's going to be over. And now it's going to be, as you said, multipolar world, a new emerging world order is going to take up. 2025, I'm quite sure there'll be a new emerging world. What do you foresee?
Well, I am not going to make predictions, but I will tell what government of India needs to do. And I am very concerned about it. I am very concerned about the nuclear power plants in Bangladesh. We need to work with our friends in Russia who have invested in these two power plants, because these are sitting ducks for diversion of radioactive material. Even if they are not able to, let's say, make a nuclear bomb, they can make a dirty radiological device, and you know where it would be used. So Russia needs to smell coffee, and India needs to tell Russia what it needs to do, what are the implications. You don't want situation like, Iraq or Syria or Libya or Iran, where this network that I at one point in time called Chip No Kiss, China, North Korea, Iran, Pakistan, Syria, Saudi Arabia. That network did nuclear Walmart. So the same thing will happen in Bangladesh. It is a dangerous issue. Time to act is now. The other is that Bharat needs to continue to build her comprehensive national power, try to avoid getting into a hot war, and let the geopolitical events happen on their own without wasting our precious resources on a hot war. That is what I would say.
दर्शक मित्रों, सुना, गरम गरम युद्ध चल रहा हो ना, वहां जाके अपने रिसोर्स मत बिगाड़िए, शांति से बैठ के पॉपकॉर्न खा के मजे लीजिए. जस्ट वॉच इट, डोंट वेस्ट योर रिसोर्सेस, एंड वॉच इमर्जिंग जियोपॉलिटिक्स ऑफ द डे एवरी डे. नमस्कार दर्शक मित्रों, आज के लिए बस इतना ही. डॉक्टर आदित्य जी को भी हमारा बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. थैंक यू.
My pleasure.
जय भारत.